Everybody, thanks for joining me. I'm just going to give people a chance to join in. This is Spur of the Moment, unscripted. You saw the title. We all know what's going on with Keefe D. And now we have Suge Knight speaking out to TMZ. It's crazy that all of this is happening in 2023. We're all wondering why Keefe D talked so much online, just spilling his guts. Now, I'm not going to be able to keep up with the chat because my computer's over there, but I do have my theories about why Keefe D is talking so much. And if I haven't said, welcome, welcome, welcome. And I will get into my theories later, but what I want to do right now is play some of that interview. I don't want TMZ coming after me, but I want to play some of that interview that Suge Knight did with TMZ, and I'll try not to jump in too much.
Case. You would think maybe he would be happy that there's going to be justice.
Well, also, and is he going to testify? So I spoke with him a very short time ago, and he is in prison right now. I talked to him when he was on the jailhouse phone and wanted to find out what he felt about the Keefe arrest, and whether he would cooperate in the trial. Tell me what your reaction is to the arrest of Keefe D.
Well, surprise, number one, because I didn't think Keefe D would never get arrested. Nor do I want to see him get arrested. You know, let's get one thing straight, first and foremost. You know, me and Keefe D played on the same Pop Warner football team. And whatever the circumstances, if he had an involvement with anything, if he didn't have any involvement with anything, who want to see? I wouldn't wish somebody going to prison on my worst enemy.
The DA says that Keefe D was in the car with his nephew, and that presumably his nephew, according to the DA, is the one that shot Tupac, and that it was done with the full knowledge of Keefe. Do they have it right?
It was only two people in the car. And Pac not going to tell the story. I ain't going to tell the story, but I tell you this. And I never had nothing bad to say about Orlando because, number one, he wasn't the shooter. Number two, he came to my hearing and told to let me go and tell the truth.
Okay, let me just pause right there. You heard Suge say that Orlando was not the shooter. That sounds kind of crazy, but we'll just go on.
Still didn't let me go.
If you are called to testify in this case,
I'm gonna just go back 1 second.
Number two, he came to my hearing. I never had nothing bad to say about Orlando because, number one, he wasn't the shooter. Number two, he came to my hearing and told to let me go and tell the truth. They still didn't let me go.
if you are called to testify in this case,
I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be.
why not?
Yeah, I wouldn't be.
Why not?
Well, number one, because I'm not going to get on the stand and testify on somebody for what?
They seem to be saying that Orlando was the shooter and Keefe was in on it, that he had full knowledge of what was going down, and it was revenge for Orlando getting beaten up by Tupac and his team at the MGM after the Tyson fight. Is that correct?
No.
Then who shot Tupac?
It wasn't Anderson, so that's all I got to say about that part.
To summarize, you are saying Orlando was not the shooter, although you won't say who the shooter was. You are not saying whether Keefe was involved in any way in the shooting, and you are saying that if you're called to testify by either side, you will not comply, you will not testify. Do I have that right?
1,000%. I wouldn't go. I wouldn't testify. None of that. At the end of the day, free Keefe D.
You know what's really interesting
Huh.
is that
Okay, that's enough of them. I don't want them to come after me for copyrights anyway. So you see, Suge Knight is still adhering to that street code, but he's saying that Orlando was not the shooter. Y'all might have seen some interviews by Vlad, and Vlad has been speaking out saying that people said that a arm that went out the window to shoot Tupac was a thick arm. It was not the arm of a young man. And it's pretty convenient that all of these people in this white Cadillac are dead outside of Keefe. And they were all much younger than him. So that's all very convenient. I'm just jumping in here right now with this Suge Knight interview because I got to start somewhere. But this stuff has been ticking me off for years, ever since it first happened, because I'm a Cali girl. I've been up to Vegas driving more times than I can count, for sure over 100. And let me tell you, there is no way that somebody can be on the strip during any kind of convention in LA. It could be a convention for goldfish or flip-flops. The strip is going to be full all night long. So you better know that during that Tyson fight, there is no way that a car can come up. They don't even have to be a celebrity. Can't no car just ride up alongside of you and just blast you with bullets and just move away freely, even if you're not a celebrity. And what's his name? Gene Deal spoke about that. He has tons of interviews out there, just little clips online, talking about the same fact. There is no way after an MGM scuffle, he was talking about the scuffle, but I'm just like, a fight. There is no way in Vegas that you're going to be able to just come up on a car like that. But what Gene Deal says is that their caravan, they're not going to even let. They have a whole security caravan full of security. They're not going to let some car just freely move around them. They're going to pull behind it. They're going to cut it off. They're going to do something, because all those guys are gangster like that. And they have police that are still on the force, retired police that are all part of death row security. So there's no way that they would even allow a car to get up that close to them. So, but I know that from back then, without ever hearing all these years and years of information coming out. There's just no way you can just slide and move up around traffic, even if it's not a celebrity. And you talking about Tupac? This is so suspicious, and it stinks to high heaven. Now, Keefe D has been running his mouth, and I'm going to say that I feel 100% sure that the only reason why Keefe D's been running his mouth is because he wanted to sell his book. Like anybody that goes on some kind of promotional campaign, he's not just telling these stories to tell these stories. He wants attention on himself for his book. And he wants to sell this book because this is my opinion, and it's my strong opinion, because he's been trying to get into the entertainment game. I don't know what happens to these dudes. They're not like real organized crime. This is like semi-organized street level crime that has grown, and they start making big money, but it's not really organized, and their egos are definitely all the way out of control, and their testosterone is out of control, that they let this stuff get so violent while they're making all this money with these high-powered artists like Tupac, this young artist that had decades left to make money. Suge just letting him be exposed all like this. And if you recall, during this jailhouse call, Suge Knight said that Orlando came and spoke on his behalf during the trial. And well, during his hearings or trials, whatever was going on with Suge, I was not paying that much attention to it, to be honest. Because I'm going to tell you something else. I've been up to Death Row Records twice when I was younger doing some work. And I'm going to tell you, I decided that I didn't want to be part of that crew. I met some talented people. They had interesting things going on. And nothing happened to me, but the energy, the tension in these big old dudes, I just could not understand. You see how Suge looks. These dudes were all big or bigger than Suge. I'm like, why do you have men like this in a recording studio when they're getting ready to record Danny Boy, who I was really impressed with, and he had so many tunes. I that's another thing. I'm like, what are they doing with this artist? This dude is crazy talented. He should be out there. Just the way he was playing around in the studio, I'm just like, something is not right up here. Let me get away from this. No other big stars like Snoop or Tupac were in the studio. This is before Snoop got taken out. And I'm just like, Death Row. And the guy that brought me into Death Row was like, hey, what's up? I'm like, no. This is not for me. And he was a masterful guitarist. And he was working for them on retainer. But even with him, they didn't pay him all his, they never took care of his money in a timely way. And I'm just like, I do not want to be getting into building no history of dealing with these people asking for my money, because it was just like, it didn't feel right. But moving on. I just made some points. I'm going to get to this proffer agreement that Keefe D made. Of course, a lot of people are talking about that on the internet. The man does not understand the law. And anyway, I always understood that street dudes don't really trust the police anyway. He said that Keefe D said that the feds and the Los Angeles Police Department put everything out in front of him, and he knew he was caught. He knew he was got because they knew everything. But then at the same time, Keefe D has also been threatening his family members in some of these interviews, saying that he will find you. You can't hide from him. He's been so bold in these interviews because he does not understand that he is not protected with his statement that he made. They gave him this proffer agreement saying, I mean, it's not even really a big agreement. It's just like, what you tell us today, we won't use against you. But that sure doesn't cover what he's been telling everybody online, all these interviews, and what he put in his book. And not the arresting officer, but the officer that wind up writing the book, he's telling him stuff like, this is the deal, but he actually thought that was a deal. And we know that he basically put the nail in his own coffin. They're saying that this trial is going to be bigger than OJ. And it probably will be, because there seems like there's more to be told. And if you guys don't know, someone in Keefe D's family said that Keefe D in Orlando they were in that car when Tupac got shot. So it was like an anonymous tip, and it still would be anonymous amongst his siblings, because Keefe D has 12 siblings. I think it's 6 brothers, 6 sisters. He has a really big family. So I don't think that the family was trying to get at him, at Keefe D. I don't know, but I don't think they appreciated what happened to these young men. I mean, everybody knows Tupac was a hothead. But to me, it's kind of sickening. I'm not all the way into gangster rap like that. I love the golden days of hip hop. You know, when this kind of street rap and even all this, you know, this soft porn rap, this was underground. This was not hitting the main airwaves years ago, but it just developed into this thing, and Tupac would hit him up. Oh, that was so brutal. I mean, Tupac he's wordsmith, and he will rip you a new one with words. And that was just, he was unleashed. He was like, y'all heard that. It doesn't matter how many times I hear that. I'm just like, whoa. I mean, saying that he slept with Biggie's wife, that was just like, that was the smallest of insults. But Tupac was a hothead, but that fight that happened at MGM, Tupac didn't even lay his hands on Orlando that much. It's still disrespectful to put your hands on somebody, but that leading up to him being brutally taken out like that, it turning into a gunfight, it makes no sense. I know people on the street, they get their street justice with guns, like in a lot of senseless ways, but to shoot Pac like that, it makes no sense. And like a lot of people, I believe that something bigger was at play, because even just to get proximity to him like that. And this Orlando dude, this altercation that happened at this mall when they, it was a thing about jacking somebody's chain. Tupac wasn't even part of that. What happened during that MGM fight, that Mike Tyson fight, I don't know if it's alcohol, weed, people's testosterone, you know, it being a fight night anyway, got them all riled up. But a fist fight like that, as disrespectful as it was, it should have never turned into this. I mean, that was an assassination. They weren't just trying to hurt him. I mean, just to sit on the strip. The strip, a lot of y'all probably been to Vegas. Some of y'all may not have gone to Vegas. But Vegas, the Vegas Strip, you just cannot move around on that strip. You're basically in bumper to bumper traffic. On a fight night, you may as well turn on your music in your car and do like Tupac was doing, hang out the window and flirt or whatever, because you're not going to move fast. You'd be better off getting out of the car and walking on the street. But you know, they weren't going to do that. It's something. I don't like to jump on videos and be emotional, but it's something that really, really bothers me. And I think more than even the crime itself is how long this has taken. And I think it's a lot of names that are unnamed. And, you know, like all these officers that have surrounded this case for the last almost 30 years, they're saying Keefe D is not going to just, he's not going to take a plea deal. He's gonna say that he's not guilty. He's going to try to fight this. But his attorney that had him getting this proffer agreement, it's like proffer agreement. It just wasn't smart, but it's not like we're rooting for him anyway because of his involvement in Diddy. Woo, Diddy. You know, at the root of all this, on the surface, it seems like it's a bunch of ego, a bunch of testosterone, and people, having just pure rap battles. But this is something lying under the surface that's real big. And I think it's even bigger than the money that these two artists would have made in their lifetime. It's something really, really big going on. And like I said, they said this trial is going to have a lot of twists and turns. It's going to be a trial, probably won't be on TV, even though, journalists are going to be around reporting on everything that happened in the courtroom. But there's a lot of players involved, and Suge said he's not talking, but I think it's disrespectful to the legacy of these two young men and to their families to not talk about this, but maybe Suge just can't talk about it because of his possible involvement. I would not be shocked if Suge had his hands in this because, like I said, there's just no way you can get to an artist like this on the boulevard. I'm going to keep this live confined to this right now. And just wrap it up. I just wanted to report on Suge. I should play that again.
And he is in prison right now. I talked to him when he was on the jailhouse phone and wanted to find out what he felt about the Keefe arrest and whether he would cooperate in the trial.
Tell me what your reaction is to the arrest of Keefe D.
Well, surprise number one, because I didn't think Keefe D would never get arrested. Nor do I want to see him get arrested. You know, let's get one thing straight, first and foremost. You know, me and Keefe D played on the same Pop Warner football team. And whatever the circumstances, if he had an involvement with anything, if he didn't have any involvement with anything, who want to see? I wouldn't wish somebody going to prison on my worst enemy.
The DA says that Keefe D was in the car with his nephew, and that presumably his nephew, according to the DA, is the one that shot Tupac, and that it was done with the full knowledge of Keefe. Do they have it right?
It was only two people in the car. And Pac not going to tell the story. I ain't going to tell the story, but I tell you this. And I never had nothing bad to say about Orlando because, number one, he wasn't the shooter. Number two, he came to my hearing and told to let me go and told the truth. They still didn't let me go.
If you are called to testify in this case?
I wouldn't be. I wouldn't be.
Why not?
Yeah, I wouldn't be.
Why not?
Well, number one, because I'm not going to get on the stand and testify on somebody for what?
They seem to be saying that Orlando was the shooter and Keefe was in on it, that he had full knowledge of what was going down, and it was revenge for Orlando getting beaten up by Tupac and his team at the MGM after the Tyson fight. Is that correct?
No.
Then who shot Tupac?
It wasn't Anderson, so that's all I got to say about that part.
To summarize, you are saying Orlando was not the shooter, although you won't say who the shooter was. You are not saying whether Keefe was involved in any way in the shooting, and you are saying that if you're called to testify by either side, you will not comply, you will not testify. Do I have that right?
1,000%. I wouldn't go, I wouldn't testify, none of that. At the end of the day, free Keefe D.
You know what's really interesting is that he is pulling back from Keefe D's own statements.
Right.
Which is
But I will
bizarre.
say, so Suge is saying it wasn't Orlando Anderson, which is something that
I
has
think I should
been
stop
widely
there.
believed
I should stop
on the
there
streets
with the
and alleged
TMZ.
in interviews. Keefe D
Because,
himself has said it, that
wait a
Orlando
minute,
is the
am I
person
still
who
going?
pulled the trigger, and Orlando Anderson died.
Yeah, I was still going. Let me just stop with that. What I think is really interesting and what I wanted to share is Suge Knight really has a real relationship with Keefe D. No matter how these documentaries and all these interviews online, they try to make it seem like there was this this gangster beef between these guys, but they've known each other since they were kids. They've known each other since they were kids, and you can hear what Suge is saying during this phone call that Orlando, Keefe D's nephew, came to court to speak on Suge's behalf to say, hey, he wasn't beating me up. He was trying to keep the guys off of me when Tupac and the rest of his crew was jumping on me at the MGM Grand after the Mike Tyson fight. Now, the reason why Orlando did that is because of the camaraderie that Keefe D and Suge Knight have. So is that crazy that it's that cool between them? Keefe D and his boys roll up on Suge's car, fill it up with bullets, and kill Tupac. But they have enough camaraderie that Keefe D is looking out for Suge because Suge was violating his parole by even touching somebody else, being part of a scene where somebody's getting beat up. That's what landed Suge back in jail in the first place. And that's why Orlando came. That's why he's talking about Orlando coming to court and speaking on his behalf. And Suge is salty that even though Orlando came and spoke on his behalf, they still took him into custody. So if Suge is that cool with Keefe D that they can talk things out even after he riddles his car with bullets, you mean you couldn't speak to him on Tupac's behalf and say, hey, this was just, one of those high-powered nights, things got out of hand? Because it was nothing but hands. Did nobody get cut? Nobody got cut. Nobody got pistol whooped. So why do you go and eliminate Tupac? Regardless of who actually did it, Keefe D is going to be charged with the death, even if he just aided and abetted, because he is the kingpin. He's the one that's organizing, making all this happen. And he's going to get some more charges because when they throw on gang enhancement, he's going to get probably some double life type of charges. And copping, there's no plea deal he can cop. He's already 60 years old. But it's so, man, it makes me sad right now. It's so unnecessary. Violence is probably never a cool thing to get involved in. But I mean, if everybody just went in blazing every time that somebody put their hands on somebody, would none of us be here? So it's just like, it's no way that it's not something more at play. And I don't think you have to go far beneath the surface to see what it is. It's just people have not been talking. You see Suge's old tales still don't want to talk. What's it about? I think he just don't want to talk because he's mad, because he knows he's not getting out of there. I think if he could get out of there, he would sing. But I think Suge Knight is considered a menace to society. Keefe D is considered a menace to society. And he says he's smart. There's so many interviews online. I'll pick another one to go live about. But this breaking news, I just wanted to share that with y'all. I think I'm going to stop right now. Thank you for joining me. I cover other stories. Please check out some of my other playlists. I appreciate y'all. And in your own lives, young people in your lives, just keep the peace. Let's just keep the peace and save lives and be all that we can be. Thank you so much. Peace and love. Y'all keep living your life like it's golden.